Well, here's mine. My pain's deep, I've been through hell. I managed to survive, so I got a story to tell. Listen, I stand victorious, make the sign of the cross. Look, I'm here to be the voice for every friend I've ever lost. Let me pray as I put together my hands. I've never been ashamed to tell you the person I am. When it comes to doing drugs, I've never been a rookie. But hold up, let me tell you about the places that they took me.
And we're going to go straight into where they took us. And to not a very good place in that fact.
It's cold out there.
It's very cold out there, especially when you're out in winter, cruising around in a car and getting on puff and just getting real cold. So you're already freezing, but then you're freezing your insides, you're freezing your emotions, you're freezing your bank account. You just sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah, Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, eh? You're freezing your own assets.
Yeah, well.
Freezing yourself, really.
Yeah, go to the pokey machine, freeze. No, well, not really, because you're slapping, but you're frozen because you're stuck at the machines. You're stuck in that vicious cycle. You can't move. There's no easy warming up until you get clean. That's just the truth.
Yeah, man, no doubt. That's one thing. Oh, man, you just talking on that then. That's one thing I don't miss over all those years. You just think out to this time of year in the cold winter nights, just out on the just hanging with certain people and surroundings and that. Yeah. You wouldn't,
No. Now, like, we've got the heater on, there's candles and that. We've got teas and food. Yeah. It's a good feeling.
Exactly.
People can go, I can get boring from time to time, so I'd rather use and just do the same old thing. But, the things you start to experience when you're straight, it's, the first month's a bit rough, but after that, like, we're pushing towards 6 months now. And, each day's a new adventure.
Chasing down 6 months, yeah.
Building stronger every day. So, I look at that and I definitely don't miss it. I definitely don't miss scrounging around, breaking into cars and all the rest of it,
Have you got any like ones, like you clearly do, but from the past of like being out there in the winter?
Oh, freezing, homeless, yeah. Homeless, living out my car.
Yeah.
With a couple of other people. You can imagine that, couch surfing, doing your best, but you're not sleeping. So, like, I was living out of a car, up for days on end. And the places I pulled up, freezing cold, you know what I mean? Trying to get some sleep. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And then at somebody's place and this and that, the amount of places that I slept to, and nothing against any of them, they gave me somewhere to sleep. But, you're sleeping there with, barely anything, do you know what I mean? Some people don't have, like, proper, blankets, whatever, this, that, but I had nowhere else to go. And that's
when I had, like, my times like that, not much throughout my time, but the times like that.
Yeah.
I was in and out of hotel rooms, and then when I didn't have the money for that, like, that was the thing with me, bro. I'd never stay at people's places unless they were, like, my good, close boys or whatever, Well, I've been mates with them for a long time. Yeah. So most of the time when I was on the scene and people are crashing out and I didn't have anywhere to go, I just wouldn't crash out at their places. So I had to stay up again and again and again.
Well, okay, when you say that, so I look at that and I go, I was actually just thinking when you're saying that, and I pictured in my head people's places that I didn't sleep at.
Yeah.
But I stayed there.
Yeah.
So I stayed at their place, but I didn't sleep. I was just fried all night.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave because it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
And my persona was cold, and then it's like you think, the first thing in the morning is going to be better to leave, and then it's like, here we go, got to face reality, fragile as. Walking up to the shops, hungry, starving, thirsty, you and name it, just feeling purged doing the walk of shame.
Yeah. What, man, as well, talking on that, he's that's another thing, man, that I was really almost I'd say really bad with, you know what I mean? When it comes to food, eating, taking care of myself, I'll admit it, I was really bad at it, and I was probably that fits in with the reckless and being self-reckless and all that.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And the more days awake and less food.
Yeah.
The more paranoia.
I'm far from proud of it, man. But that was always a thing with me.
Yeah.
And I was really bad when it come to eating and drinking water. and this and that. And when we're talking on, you know, reckless and you know, just like what we've put our bodies through on that.
Yeah.
You know, I found out some stuff later on in life from the doctors and stuff. That, you know, left me like devastated for a long time, and I couldn't get over. And once again, I'd go back to using.
Yeah.
When I got told from the doctor and the specialist, mate, this time it's really it's got to be like game over. And the one of those times out of the three, you know, it was like, mate, it was game over for me. Yeah. I had a serious operation and that, and you know, that would all the past build up to that, you know, and the specialist and that was still saying, oh, you know, we can't promise it's from, you know, we can't guarantee it's from your drug use, because I told him everything. I told the specialist everything, and he goes, mate, he called me Terminator, and like thought like that I would like sort of appreciate that and find it funny, and I fucking did it, you know what I mean? Like I didn't like it, but you know, still to this day, my you know, my core tells me and always have. That's what happened, and you know, that was what happened. I knew it, you know what I mean? Because bro, I used to go that hard when I was hitting it, not sleep much, and then stay up for days and just not eat and drink water. Like it was all, that's one
dehydration.
Bad. And that's one. I was always drinking. I had a can in hand of Jim Beam or something JD here, and for days and that, while being on the coke and that, and just no food and no water. I used to, like I'll say it, I used to I had that believing for a long time. That if I had something to eat, right,
you get less high.
100%. How did you know?
I was a big junkie, and I'll admit it. I was. You know, I've been an addict in that, but there was a time where I was a proper junkie, and when I go to that, when you talk on that destruction, like you know, getting told by a specialist and stuff, that's like reminds me of when I got to 58 kilos, and then almost losing both my hands. You know, going into hospital and saying if I'd gone any longer. But then, like I was talking to you about it earlier, and dismissing myself from the first hospital. Okay, I wasn't getting washed and everything like that. I went to rehab at the very beginning. A lot of things were going on at that point in my life, but I was just a big junkie at that point. I don't remember much of it, and
it's a big thing to say, eh? Like finally come to its ends and put yourself on the junk.
100% it was, especially then, back then. Because, you know, I had everything going on, but I just didn't care for myself. That's actually one of my songs. I didn't care about anyone else, nor myself especially, but that was pretty slack with the events that were going on. You know, my mum was she was diagnosed with cancer and everything like that. I couldn't even go and see her because I was just too fried and too junked out, and you know, I was destroyed, and that made me worse. But I made myself worse by letting it.
They're some of the putridest parts, really putridest parts of when you sum it all up.
100%.
I've been in those same positions as well when my mum was up the coast in hospital and that. And no, I was down, you know, down like around my unit blocks area and that. And I was just like using, you know, while she was up there and for a day or two. And I'm thinking, I've got to stop and get up there and get clean, you know what I mean? And just to even go through like a day or two, and, you know, they're the times, man, where, you know, it's the complete opposite now and we can be there.
100%.
But back then it's just putrid, and it's a putrid way to go, and you're a shit go when you do that.
Well, I look at it and I go, so when I mentioned that with everything going on, and so I ended up in hospital, I blacked out at rehab. And then abscesses were forming on my hands and everything. My immune system went to nothing. And basically, I don't remember a week getting transferred to Auburn Hospital and that, but then I dismissed myself from Auburn Hospital. Yeah, okay. It was, I'm not going to talk bad about the hospital, but whether it's in my head or what, I wasn't getting fed that much. And maybe that was because I wasn't allowed to and this and that. I don't know the full story, right? But I dismissed myself because I wasn't happy. No one was smiling, and you know, they had no reason to smile at me. I was washed up. you know, junk, and that was the truth. And so I dismissed myself, and what did I do? I got out with 2 casts like this, had to hold them up high so the blood didn't flow down, and I went out and got on it with 2 casts. Do you know what I mean? Having a puff with 2 casts on, instead of being in hospital where they were helping me, to end up at a mate's place cutting the cast off, because I thought that was a mad idea, to having a cone of weed, and then all of a sudden, boom, just feeling the pain, bandaged them up, like, makeshift. My hands were a wreck. I should not have left hospital. I walked to hospital, and if I got told when I got there, if I'd left it any longer, I'd have lost both my hands. But there's one plus that came out of that was when my mum beat cancer, because a huge part was she was told she wasn't going to be here, so that was destroying me.
As it does, big time.
And she
one
got
of the biggest of all time.
And she got the amputation and beat it. So that gave me the mindset after her doing that. And I thank God for that too. And I thank her for her strength through that. That I was able to sit there and go, well, they're telling me I may lose my hands, but if I'm going to lose them, I'll do the best I can to keep them. But I just look back at that and I go, if I can truly say then I was a huge junkie, because who leaves hospital with 2 casts on their hand with an immune system to nothing, 58 kilos, 183 centimeters, or close to health. I was 20 kilos lighter than the healthy height to weight ratio, let alone and then after that I got my mum sitting by my hospital bed. It's like soldier she is, but and I'm not going to go too much into it. I've had to live with that guilt, that shame and everything, but she gave me the drive, and that's why my first song that'll be releasing is about my mum.
Yeah, nice. There's also talking on that, man. I was just thinking of, I've got multiple stories, but
You're talking about that one, that's pretty full on, pulling that thing out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll talk on that one, man. So I can.
Because you told me that's like full on, and I think of mine, pretty similar risk factor.
Yeah,
pretty brutal,
and then
pretty stupid.
this is what happened. It was another one of those days, and I'd been on it days leading up to it and stuff, but not that bad. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and one of my boys passed away. Another one of them. It was back a while ago now, and we went to his funeral, and then went to his wake. And long story short, there was a bit of beef lingering between a few of us and a few of the others, and for some way in the end, I had to leave the wake due to their reasons, and I left, and I was really hurt, and I'd been spending a fair bit of time with him just at the weekend just before he passed away. He was up at mine hanging out and that, and a few weeks before we're hanging out, and we're getting on it and all that, you know what I mean. And he's another one that passed away due
Rest in peace.
To this lifestyle. But talking on that, I was like, fuck, I just gotten with this chick at the time, and I went back to her place, her unit, and I had like 2 4-packs of those fucking the Jim Beams, the gold ones, the 666.
Oh, chat.
Yeah, that the proof. Yeah, the alcohol proof 666.
While you continue with that, I've got to get something.
Yeah. And back then it was a good drink and all, but that 666 just sounds shit, and is. I went there, and I just had an upset look on my face, you know what I mean? And she asked, am I okay? And I went in there, and I was already half pissed, and I was pretty messed up, you know what I mean? I'd been through a fair bit, like the months leading up to that, and I had at that time I had a cast on my arm. Not full plaster, but like a plastic cast underneath, and then all heavily bandaged up to my elbow. Because I had my finger operated on. I snapped my finger in half, pretty much, and that was the outcome of that. I had an operation. I had a pin put in the finger. In that finger there, you can see it's bent as, and I had a pin put in there, and then through operation, and then had it all done up. Anyway, long story short, just another reckless story from the drugs is I ended up getting real drunk at hers and getting real emotional and devastated and angry and turned into a tornado. And you know, I was on the shit and drinking alcohol, and stayed up till early hours in the morning and just kept getting on it. And she was trying to settle me down. Anyway, I started undoing it. I thought, why is this? Why is this thing just because of my finger? I thought, why the fuck is it all the way taking up all this bandage and all the way up to my elbow? So firstly, I just took that off real fast and chucked it. But I didn't know that I thought the pin had been put like in me somewhere. Like it was. But when I took off all this stuff recklessly, my girlfriend was trying to stop me. I've taken it off and I've seen this hook hanging out of my finger, and it was inserted down my whole finger, and I seen the metal hook come out here, and it had like string attached to it that ran up here and up my nerves, and that's why it was all like that. All right, so you don't get nerve damage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might learn a bit about that tomorrow. I'm not quite sure of that. You know what I mean? Yours is worse, but this is how he's going in to get this taken off tomorrow. Like he's clearly broken, worse than mine. But this finger, it would have not been there if there wasn't skin. Like it completely snapped in half, and so they had to put that metal rod in there. I thought it was in there, so I've just recklessly taken it off, pissed as and on the drugs, and I threw the bandage and the plastic thing underneath, and I was just confused. I remember I was like, this is a bit serious, you know what I mean? And I've seen the thing and the pin. Anyway, get into it, like I was there and I'm drinking and I was talking to her and she's calming me down. She was being there for me, and I was just like, she was asking me about, the wake and stuff and, what happened. And I was telling her a little bit, and I just ended up getting really cut up and angry and sad and getting into a real bad state of mind. And I ended up playing with the pin at the end of my finger, and she was screaming like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And my eyes were just like zoned in on it, like I wasn't in a good headspace, and I was just like this, and I was seeing if I could loosen it or whatever. And I remember I'd moved it the tiniest bit, and I just felt this grind of just like all in there on my bone.
Doesn't seem
and
good.
It's like my whole body just went like that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, next thing my mind just went into a bad state, and I turned it a little bit more, right, and I've just ripped it out, the pin, ripped it out and threw it across the corner of the room. And then next day, I didn't sleep all through that morning and stuff, you know what I mean? Well, actually, yes, I did. I fell asleep, and that's why I woke up screaming. And I remember it in 10 out of 10 pain.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Like 10, that time was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And later on, I come to find out why. You know what I mean? It took her ages to get me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because I'm just in the unit, right? And she's going, let's go to the hospital and that.
Yeah.
But my head was so twisted. I'm going, nah, I wouldn't want to leave the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was no good reason behind it. It was just because I was so fucked up on the drugs and alcohol. They're telling my fucking head this and that. But I ended up not going for I'm in 10 out of 10 pain.
Yeah.
Sitting there, topping up on drugs and alcohol and that, and still just in so much pain, yelling out this and that. I finally got to the hospital, and you know, by then they said I had septicemia, so I got rushed into emergency, and that time just for this little finger thing, and they were going to chop my finger off, or I was going to lose my life. From the blood poisoning,
and that's kind of like, you know, the self-destruction that happens that led us, you know, further in life.
Yeah, well, that's one of
more things. You know what I mean? And you know, like for me, most previously near death, and you said that, but near losing arms, like. I just think about it as reckless, everything we did.
Well, it's like it's reckless,
yeah.
But it's like there's been reckless and then self-reckless, and the self-care is just not there.
There was no self-care. Now self-care, we say, yeah. So this is like, imagine back then, right?
Yeah.
If we were able to sit there and say, we've learnt now there's no need to worry, right? Why worry when prayer helps overcome worry? So turn your worry into a prayer. Something like, Lord, here is my problem. It looms ever larger in my path, so I am putting it in your hands. I'm not going to worry. Instead, I'm going to trust you. I'm even going to thank you in advance for what you will do, because you know what you are doing. So I'll look at this. You know, when it first happened, you know, the instinct is to worry when you find out, oh, it's broken this day, you know? And like same with,
clearly,
you know, two hands like that, you know, first thing is worry. But now, like with prayer, I wish I had it back then. I probably would have got myself out of a lot of reckless, non-self-care situations where God would have been there.
You can't sit here and say no, because...
No, but God would have got us through it.
Yeah.
And now I'm thankful for that, because I've gone like, I think 10 weeks, almost 11 weeks now with this. And there's been times where it's been challenging, but I've not had to worry, because... you know, I no longer need to. I pray and give it away. And that's kind of like what you were talking about today. You know, it is with all these things, when you're going through hard times, as hard as it is to just say, pray, give it to God, do it. See what happens.
Yeah. It has to be given over out of your will, man. Especially, you know, when you've had enough of a life that's just dragged on for so long.
Yeah.
Way too long, and you've just seen so much. You know, you've seen way too much, and you know, you just come to wit's ends with it. You can't sit by yourself. You can't sit in this life by yourself with the type of stuff that we go through, and life's going to bring those things. You know
100%.
what I mean? It's going to bring those things. It's like, I got put to the test yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
you did well.
Yesterday was a great day.
Yeah.
Not.
It wasn't a bad day. It was a character building day.
Oh, yeah. And
you did,
long story
you did
short,
quite well.
I lost my iPhone 11 yesterday, and you know, I went into stress and panic mode and this and that, and that's just me. Once I lose something of mine, you know, I go all the way to the end to try and find it, you know. But by then, in time, like, having this time up in sobriety and that, you know, I've learned a lot. So and you can't. I was doing it like yesterday and last night and that to a certain degree, but I even know myself that I did a good job.
Yeah, 100%.
Because things like that back then, like I didn't even have a phone like that back then. You know, I just had a brother of mine give it to me recently, and you know, like it's a very good phone. And even back then, I never had a phone like that. But if I lost my phone, right, I'd kick up dust, right, and get angry and shit, and I'd go and hit the shit straight away every time, because those uncomfortable feelings come, and you've lost something, right, and that challenges you. You've lost something, and then all those bad feelings come across you.
Yeah.
Bang, you go and get rid of them by using. You know what I mean?
So we're going to wrap it up here with, you know, this part of self-destruction, and then we're going to do another one. But the one thing I want to mention when we leave this video is you can change your life. And the easiest way to change your life, if you're worried, scared, whatever, pray, give it to God. Even if you don't believe in a God, give it to the universe, give it to a higher power. But pray and watch your life change for the better.
And I also want to say as well, just out of like, you know, high experience of on being, you know, reckless as for so much years.
Yep.
And you know, like you were saying too, out of high experience on that, the people out there doing it hard on the drug and alcohol field and out there on the battle, just like try to come to terms with some of your past and your trauma and your pain.
Accept it.
And at least at the smallest, try and give yourself a break and at least just off the drugs, you know, at times for like, sometimes a day, 2 days, if you can, 3 days. Because it's those little breaks that put yourself to a challenge of living life on life's terms. And once you can do that, you've got it.
Amen.
You know, and you can make it.
Amen.
Word.
So God bless you and thank you for watching.